Hello everyone, I hope you're having a great day. Today, Alex sees Tu Na is worn out, so he gives her a rare break. No pressure, no rushing. He takes her to buy a few simple household things, brings her home, cooks with her, and quietly takes care of the little tasks she's been carrying alone. Here's the hook. When Alex asks her again to live with him, will Tu Na finally say yes? If you enjoy the story, don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss the next videos. Let's begin. Tu Na had been moving too fast for days. Not in a loud, dramatic way, just the quiet kind of speed that builds up in your body until your shoulders feel heavy and your eyes don't fully rest. She didn't complain. She still answered when Alex asked if she was okay. She still said, "I'm fine," because that's what she always said. But Alex could see it anyway. That morning, he didn't bring her to the sights. He didn't start listing tasks. He simply picked her up, looked at her face for a second, and said, "Today, we slow down." Tu Na blinked like she wasn't sure she heard right. But, "No," Alex cut in gently. "No arguing. You've been pushing hard, I can see it. We take a break." Tu Na didn't know what to do with kindness that came as a decision. She sat back in the seat and tried to relax, but her hands still held tension in her fingers. They drove into town. Not to a nice restaurant, not to anywhere fancy. Alex parked near the small shops where people bought basic household things, the kind of place that smelled like plastic and soap, where shelves were crowded and the floor was always a little dusty. Tu Na walked behind Alex at first, almost shy, like she didn't belong there with him. She kept thinking she should go back home and do something useful. But Alex slowed his steps and walked beside her instead of ahead of her. "Just pick what you need," he said. "Simple things." Tu Na hesitated, then pointed at a few items she had wanted for months, but never bought because she kept telling herself it could wait. Small containers that actually closed properly. A new ladle because the old one was bent. A thicker cloth for wiping. A set of simple spice jars, so she wouldn't have to keep reusing random bottles. Alex didn't question her choices. He didn't tease her for picking boring things. He just carried the basket and listened when she explained why each item mattered. She spoke quietly, almost like she was embarrassed that these small objects felt important. But Alex treated them like they were normal, like they were part of building a life that didn't feel shaky. At one point, Tu Na stopped in front of a shelf of warm blankets. She touched one with her fingers and then pulled her hand back, like she had no right to want it. Alex noticed. He reached up, grabbed a plain one, and placed it in the basket. Tu Na looked at him. "That's too much." Alex didn't argue loudly. He just said, "It's cold at night. You don't need to be tough about everything." Tu Na looked away, but her mouth softened. It wasn't a full smile, but it was close. They paid and walked back outside. The air felt cooler than before, and the bags felt heavier than they should for such small items. Alex carried them anyway. Tu Na tried to take one bag from him and he let her, but he kept the heavier ones without discussion. On the way back to the car, Tu Na saw a small food stall and her eyes lingered for half a second. Alex followed her gaze. "Hungry?" he asked. "I'm fine," she said automatically. Alex gave her a look that said he didn't accept automatic answers today. He walked over and ordered something warm and simple. Nothing fancy, just food that made the stomach feel safe. They sat on low stools, close enough that their knees almost touched under the table. Tu Na ate slowly at first, like she was waiting for something to interrupt the moment. But nothing did. People passed by. A motorbike buzzed down the road. A child laughed somewhere. It was ordinary, and that ordinary feeling made Tu Na's shoulders drop a little. Alex didn't talk about problems. He didn't talk about pressure. He asked small questions instead. What Tuna wanted to plant next in her garden, what dish she liked making when she wasn't rushing, whether she preferred sour or spicy pickles. The questions weren't childish. They were the kind of questions that reminded a person they still had preferences, not just survival skills. Tuna answered without realizing she was answering more freely than usual. She even corrected Alex once about how long a certain jar should ferment. Alex pretended to argue, then laughed, and Tuna finally smiled for real. After they finished, Alex drove them back. The road home felt less tense than it had in days. Tuna held one of the small bags in her lap, looking down at the new containers like they were proof that life could still be normal. When they arrived at her place, Alex didn't just drop the bags and leave. He carried them into the kitchen area and started unpacking without being asked. He placed the containers neatly, rinsed the new jars, and set the blanket aside where it would be easy to grab later. Tuna stood there watching, unsure whether to stop him or thank him. She was used to doing everything alone. Having someone move around her small space so naturally felt strange. Alex washed his hands and looked at the kitchen setup like he was planning a simple mission. "Let's cook," he said. Tuna blinked again. "You cook?" "I can cook enough," Alex said, and rolled up his sleeves like he wanted to prove it with actions, not words. They cooked together in a quiet, practical way. Tuna washed vegetables and sliced them. Alex handled the pot and the timing. They moved around each other carefully in the small space, sometimes bumping shoulders, sometimes stepping back at the same time, and almost laughing about it. It wasn't a romantic movie scene. It was just real life. Steam from the pot, the smell of garlic, the sound of a knife against a board. And for the first time in a while, Tuna wasn't thinking about what could go wrong. She was thinking about whether the soup needed more salt. When the food was ready, they carried it out to the small bamboo table in the yard. The afternoon light was softer now, falling over the dirt ground and the simple chairs. Tuna sat down, and for a moment she looked like she might finally rest. But the moment she stopped moving, the tiredness hit harder. Her eyes blinked slower. Her hands rested on the table like they didn't want to lift again. Alex noticed immediately. He didn't call it out in a dramatic way. He simply stood up, took her bowl, and said, "Eat. I'll handle the rest." Tuna tried to protest, but Alex shook his head once. "No, you've been holding yourself up for too long." Tuna ate quietly. The food was warm. The air was cool. Alex moved in and out of the kitchen, cleaning as he went, keeping things simple and calm. He didn't rush. He didn't act like he was doing a favor. He acted like this was normal, like taking care of her was part of his day. By the time the sun lowered more, Tuna felt the heaviness in her body start to ease. Not because her problems were gone, but because she wasn't carrying everything alone for a few hours. Alex came back to the table and sat down across from her. He looked at her carefully, not like a boss checking work, but like a man checking the person he cared about. "You don't have to prove yourself every minute," he said quietly. Tuna didn't answer right away. She stared at the table, then nodded once. Small. She still didn't know how to accept comfort without guilt, but today she was trying. And as the light faded, the day stayed calm, almost peaceful, while something unspoken waited between them, ready to be asked later, not forced now. The sky turned darker faster than Tuna expected. The mountain air always did that. One moment it felt like late afternoon, and the next, the cold crept in, and the shadow stretched across the yard. Alex stood up and brought out 2 cups of warm water. He set one in front of Tuna like it was the most normal thing in the world. Then he went back to the kitchen area to finish tidying. He didn't scrub like he was trying to impress her. He just did the basics. Rinsed bowls, wiped the table, put the new containers on a shelf where they wouldn't fall, and hung the new cloth where Tu Na could reach it easily. Tu Na sat quietly, sipping slowly. She didn't speak much, but she didn't look tense the way she had been the past few days. Her shoulders were still heavy, but she wasn't forcing herself to look fine anymore. When Alex came back, he didn't sit far away. He pulled a chair close to the bamboo table, not crowding her, just present. The yard was quiet except for distant motorbikes on the main road and the occasional sound of a dog barking somewhere far off. "You're tired," Alex said. Tu Na gave a small nod. "A little." Alex looked at her for a moment, then said, "Not a little." Tu Na didn't argue. She just held her cup with both hands and stared at it, like the warmth was something she needed to keep. Alex spoke in the same calm voice he used when he handled problems. Steady, not emotional. "I'm not saying you can't handle things," he said. "You can. I've seen it. But you don't have to live like you're carrying everything alone." Tu Na gave a short, quiet breath that could have been a laugh if it wasn't so tired. "It's just how I'm used to living." "I know," Alex replied. That's why it worries me." Tu Na finally looked up. Her eyes weren't dramatic. They were simply honest. "You worry too much." Alex nodded once like he accepted that. Then he said, "Maybe. But I'd rather worry than wait until you collapse." Tu Na didn't answer. She wasn't ready to turn this into a deep conversation, and Alex seemed to understand that. He let the silence sit. A little later, he stood up again and checked the latch on the bamboo gate without making it obvious. He didn't say, "I'm checking for safety." He just did it the way people do when they care. He came back, sat down, and changed the subject lightly. "These containers," he said, pointing toward the kitchen shelf. "You pick them like you're building a small factory." Tu Na finally smiled. A real one. "Because if it's messy, it wastes time." Alex smiled back. "I'm starting to understand your logic." They talked like that for a while. Small, normal things, food, weather, the garden, how cold the nights had been lately. Tu Na's voice sounded softer when the topic wasn't about pressure. Alex kept it that way on purpose. But eventually, the quiet turned into the kind of quiet where the real topic sits in the corner, waiting. Alex cleared his throat once, not because he was nervous, but because he wanted to choose words that wouldn't push her. "About what I said before," Alex began. Tu Na didn't look surprised. She had expected it sooner or later. She just nodded slightly, telling him to continue. "I'm not asking you to change everything overnight," Alex said, "but I want you closer. I want it to be easier. If you're tired, you rest. If something happens, I'm there. No long distance, no guessing." Tu Na's hands tightened around the cup again, not in anger. Just in the way people hold something when they need a second. Alex kept his tone simple. "I'm serious. Not because I want control. Because I want you safe." Tu Na looked at the table, then at the yard, then back at Alex. She didn't try to act tough. She didn't say, "I don't need anyone." She had moved past that kind of pride, at least a little. "I understand why you keep asking," she said quietly. Alex watched her face carefully. "Then, what do you think?" Tu Na didn't answer right away. She wasn't doing it to create drama. She was honestly thinking. Her life wasn't just a suitcase she could pick up. Even if she wanted change, she still needed to accept it in her own way. "I'm not saying no," Tu Na finally said. Alex's expression shifted. Subtle relief. But he didn't rush. Tu Na continued, "I just need to feel like I'm doing it right. Not because I'm scared, Not because I'm being pushed. Alex nodded once. That's fair. Tuna looked at him. If I move in, people will talk. Alex didn't pretend they wouldn't. Let them talk. Tuna gave a small shake of her head. It's easy for you to say. Alex leaned forward slightly. Then I'll carry that part too. You don't have to fight everything. Tuna stared at him for a second, like she was measuring whether he truly meant it. Then she said, I'll think. Properly. And I'll tell you soon. Alex didn't push for an exact date. He didn't demand a promise. He only nodded. Okay. The temperature dropped more as the evening deepened. Alex stood up and said they should go inside. He didn't command it. He said it like a suggestion, but his body language made it clear he didn't want her sitting in the cold too long. Inside the small room, Tuna moved slower than usual. She sat on the edge of the bed for a moment and rubbed her forehead like the day had finally caught up. Alex didn't hover. He brought her the thicker blanket they bought, handed it to her, and said, Use this tonight. Tuna held the blanket and looked at it like it was heavier than cloth. She gave a quiet, Thank you. Alex glanced around the room, then looked back at her. You're allowed to rest, he said again, like he wanted the words to stick. Tuna nodded. Alex stayed a little longer, not doing anything dramatic, just being there while the house settled. He made sure the kettle was filled, the door was latched, and the yard light was working. He didn't announce each step. He just finished them calmly. When he finally reached for his keys, Tuna stood up too, walking him to the doorway. Alex paused and looked at her. Tomorrow, he said, we keep things steady. No rushing yourself. If someone tries to throw confusion again, we handle it. But tonight, you rest. Tuna nodded, then said something small that mattered more than a big speech. You don't have to do all this, Alex answered immediately. I want to. Tuna's eyes softened. She didn't hug him or say something dramatic. She only said, Drive safe. Alex gave a short smile, stepped out, and walked to his car. The engine started, the headlights swept across the yard, and then he drove away down the dirt path toward the main road. Tuna stayed at the doorway for a moment, holding the blanket in her arms. The night was quiet again, but it didn't feel empty the way it used to. And the episode ends with an open thread. Tuna has promised nothing, but for the first time, she hasn't pushed Alex away either. The next day is coming, and with it, her answer.
Alex nhận thấy Từ Na kiệt sức sau nhiều ngày chịu áp lực không ngừng. Vì vậy, anh quyết định cho cô ấy một kỳ nghỉ thực sự. Anh đưa cô vào thị trấn để mua những vật dụng gia đình đơn giản mà cô đã trì hoãn việc mua. Sau đó đưa cô về nhà và giúp sắp xếp lại nhà bếp. Họ cùng nhau nấu một bữa ăn ấm áp và ăn uống yên tĩnh ngoài sân. Và cuối cùng, Từ Na cũng cho phép mình thư giãn mà không cần phải gượng cười. Khi mà đêm buông xuống, Alex tiếp tục chăm sóc cô bằng những việc nhỏ nhặt, thiết thực như dọn dẹp, kiểm tra cổng, đảm bảo cô luôn ấm áp. Sau đó, Alex nhẹ nhàng nhắc lại lời đề nghị của mình, hỏi Từ Na có muốn sống cùng anh để cuộc sống an toàn và dễ dàng hơn không. Lần này, Từ Na không từ chối. Cô nói rằng cô không nói không, cô sẽ suy nghĩ nghiêm túc và sẽ sớm trả lời anh. Alex lái xe về nhà, để lại quyết định đang dang dở.